The introduction to Chapter 2, The Fundamental Desire for Knowledge. We look everywhere for what we call an explanation of the facts. The natural world does not demand an explanation. It exists and acts in lawful harmony as a living whole. Human beings, though, have a fundamental need for knowledge that can only be satisfied in an individual way for each person. This individual need for knowledge is satisfied with true knowledge. The problem of knowledge begins in the moment of perception. Our perception of the world is subjective. We project our preconceptions and biases onto the world, causing the unity of things to appear broken. Or we attempt to explain the world by universalizing disappointing personal life experience and become dissatisfied with how the world appears to us. Since it's my own perceiving that breaks the unity, only my own thinking investigation can restore the unity in a specific way according to my individual need. This is true knowledge. The story of our quest for true knowledge begins in childhood. A child sees only the sense-perceptible side of the world. It easily and naturally absorbs the surrounding environment through the senses. Since there is no distinction between the child and the world, it feels itself to be one with the world. Lacking thought, a child is missing an integral part of the full reality, so we can say the child has access to only half of the world reality. When we grow up sufficiently to develop thoughts, we have access to the thought aspect of reality, but then the mental process splits our world into two halves, the outer perceived world and our inner thought world. We form an identity and contrast ourselves with the world. Now the universe appears to us as two opposing sides, self and world. Our childhood unity is lost, and we experience a gulf between us and the world. We now confront the world as separate individuals. As separate individuals, we never lose the feeling that we belong to the world, that the universe is a unity, embracing both self and world. This feeling for the unity of all things makes us strive to bridge the gap between our thought and the world. We set ourselves questions and seek the answers. Our opposition to the world can only be resolved intellectually when we attain true knowledge by finding the inner coherence and harmony among all things. We have a feeling of dissatisfaction when the world we perceive does not correspond to our thoughts of it. We feel ourselves separated from the world and strive to resolve this division. The history of the spiritual and intellectual life is a continuing search for the unity between ourselves and the world. Religion, art, and science all pursue the same goal of overcoming our separation from the world through goodness, beauty, and truth. The religious believer is dissatisfied with the world that appears before him. He seeks the solution to the problems of the world which his self sets before him in the revelations granted him by God. But this knowledge is questioned when it becomes blind faith in religious revelation, leading to a dogma of revelation. Then knowledge cannot be gained, only faith in someone or something. The artist feels dissatisfaction with the appearance of the world. He seeks to mold the ideas of his self into his material to reconcile what lives within him with the outer world. Using feeling and sensitivity to create, the artist may become absorbed in activity without worrying about the causes that drive it. Unless the artist makes use of thinking, the scope and justification of his work comes into question. The thinker seeks the laws at work in the world of phenomena. He strives to penetrate with thinking what he learns by observing. His knowledge comes into question if he believes that one should stick merely to pure observation and only observe, describe, and systematically order. This leads to a dogma of experience that puts limits on knowledge. Then important factors cannot be discovered that are not yet given within direct experience. Only when we have made the world content into our thought content do we restore the unity to the world lost for us during childhood. We will see later this goal can only be reached when the task of scientific research is understood on a deeper level than is usually the case. Rather than trying to find a way to attach our thought to the world, our thinking reaches beyond our separate existence to the universal in thought, to find the connecting link. The relationship between the self and the world is described in two contrasting ways of conceiving the world, the one-world theory called monism and the two-world theory of dualism. Dualism can be questioned for directing its attention on the separation between the self and the world brought about by human consciousness. All its efforts are an ineffectual struggle to reconcile opposing polarities, which dualism may call mind and matter, or subject or object, or thought and phenomenon. The dualist feels there must be a bridge between the two worlds, but is incapable of finding it. He does not understand that by deepening intuition, thinking is able to grasp the conceptual essence of things. Monism can be questioned for directing its attention only to the unity and tries either to deny or blur over any differences actually present. Monists have tried to solve the problem in three different ways. Some monists deny mind and become materialist. Others deny matter, seeking salvation as spiritualists. Yet others claim that mind and matter are indivisibly united even in the simplest substance. Neither monism or dualism can satisfy our desire for knowledge because they do not do justice to the facts. We will see later that by deepening the powers of intuition to gain insight into the innermost core of the world, the one world view of monism can be justified.